Okay, so I'm doing a character analysis on Thorfinn, and I gotta say, Thorfinn has one of the best, if not the best, character developments in manga history. So, to best understand Thorfinn, we have to go all the way back to when he was a child, to around the first time he was ever exposed to violence, which was when his dad died. Thor, the Troll of Gem, was considered one of the greatest Gems Vikings to ever exist. A mercenary by the name of Askeladd was paid to take his head, and succeeded, so Thorfinn had to watch his dad die right in front of him, which was the first time he was exposed to violence. After that, Thorfinn swore to get revenge on Askeladd, and he decides the best way to do that is to train under Askeladd until he gets old enough to be able to get his revenge. So basically, from the time he was 6 all the way up to he was 17, he was exposed with an immense amount of violence, fighting war after war in Askeladd's mercenary band. And he never really had any time to reflect on what he was actually doing. He was murdering people, killing people without a second thought, all for the sake of getting a chance to get his revenge on Askeladd. And every now and again, he would get a chance to fight Askeladd one-on-one, but Askeladd would do something to throw him off and he would end up losing. And then it repeats itself. He goes out, kills someone in the hopes of being able to get his revenge on Askeladd, get another chance to fight him, and then he loses again. So concentrated on revenge, he never got a chance to really reflect on what he actually is doing. Never had time to really think about all the people he has killed, all for the chance to get his revenge on the man that murdered his father. But the sad truth is, people, he didn't get that chance. It was stolen from him. Askeladd was killed by another person, and this left Thorfinn empty. Since he couldn't get his revenge, he attacks the man that killed Askeladd, retaliating in blind rage. Got him good right in the face. And the person he tried to kill was formerly Prince, now King Canute. Luckily for Thorfinn, his punishment was slavery and not death. So fast forward a few years later, where it cuts to in the manga, and Thorfinn is now a slave. And it looks like Thorfinn has just given up on life. He just does what he's told. Works himself to the bone, don't really care, doesn't talk, doesn't really communicate with anybody. That all changes when he's introduced to a character named Minor, a new slave that just came to the farm. Pretty much the first person to ever get Thorfinn to talk and actually relate to. He got Thorfinn to open up with his optimistic character. Him and Thorfinn got along really great, and you start actually seeing Thorfinn have a little more light in his eyes. And what really inspired the two is him and Aenir struck a bargain with the slave owners that if they were able to clear all the trees that they were tasked and ended up planting a successful field of crops within a few years, they are able to be set free. Thorfinn and Aenir gladly accept this offer and flash forward to where they're almost done, and then tragedy strikes the two. The mercenaries, so to speak, that the slave owner and owner of the farm didn't really like Thorfinn and Aenir that much, so they thought, hey, let's mess up their field, mess up all the hard work that they have done, and Thorfinn and Aenir was left having to restart all their hard work. And that's where you really start to see the character development of Thorfinn, because despite them doing this, Thorfinn tells Aenir, revenge will get you nowhere. So let's go a little further into the slave arc to where King Canute decides to wage war against the owner of the land and farm, which he's not just owner of one farm, he's owner of a giant landscape. He decides he needs that landscape to benefit him in war. And you see Thorfinn, having been former friends with him, decides to go talk to him. See, at this point, Thorfinn has made like a deal with himself that he is going to solve his problems without violence. That violence would never be the first option he takes. He'll always find that second option. So his plan is to go talk to King Canute and try to solve this war without any further violence. But he can't get by the guards, and they kind of tell him jokingly that if you can survive 100 hits from our strongest guard, we'll let you see the king. And he takes all 100 punches. See, Thorfinn's an expert at fighting, so he knew exactly how to minimize the damage of one's punches. But he still got messed up in that. He ends up talking to Canute and convincing him to not raid the farm, proving that violence is not always the answer. The key point of here is what Thorfinn would go through to stop the violence. He's willing to sacrifice himself for the sake of other people. That is some good character development that his younger self would not have done. I'm not going to go in every detail of every arc. This is a character analysis, not a manga review, so if you don't understand the time jumps that I'm doing, then you probably haven't read Vinland Saga, or at least up to where I'm at, so go read Vinland Saga and then come back to this video. Okay, with that said, we're going to skip to where Thorfinn is finally free. Thorfinn finally gets home, and as we know, Thorfinn and Ynir have made a deal that they are going to find the land of Vinland and create a country of peace. Which that in itself, like wanting to create a country of peace instead of killing people, that's like a 180 great character development. Thorfinn is no longer a slave. He is taken home and reunited with his family. But a few days after being there, him and Ynir decide that it's time. They want to travel to Vinland, find Vinland. Then they come to the realization that they're broke, and this task is going to take a lot of money. So the guy that found Thorfinn and took him home, which his name is Leif, probably should have said that earlier in the video, suggests that Thorfinn should meet this lord named Halfdan, supposedly the richest man around, and maybe he can help Thorfinn and company get money to be able to go to Vinland. He gives them this task to prove how much they want to find the land of Vinland, so he gives them narwhal horns, and the only place where narwhal horns sell for a lot of money is in the region of where Greece is, so they have to go on this 2-year voyage in order to sell these narwhal horns. And on their voyage, which Thorfinn meets the character that really puts his character development in great perspective. He meets Hild. See, now Hild is a character that has been wronged by Thorfinn's past. While Thorfinn was in Askeladd's mercenary group, following orders, he ended up killing Hild's father right in front of her. Hild set on revenge, tried to kill Thorfinn, but is eventually convinced by Thorfinn and Ynir. Just give Thorfinn some time. Just give Thorfinn a few years to sell these narwhal horns and find Vinland. And if she feels like she still wants to kill him, she can. Going a little further into the story, Thorfinn and company are doing some shopping for some goods, and he runs into a few people from the Gems Viking. And you see Thorfinn's grandfather was a former leader before he died of the Gems Vikings. So they feel that Thorfinn is the rightful heir of the Gems Vikings. And they try to convince him to come with them because there's somebody that they want to reunite Thorfinn with, but he's pretending like he don't know them. He's just really trying to refuse them. But after Thorfinn refuses, they end up convincing him to go see Thorkill, someone Thorfinn has formerly fought in battle and is actually related to him. He's his uncle. He also meets Floki. Thorkill doesn't want no business being the leader of the Gems Vikings, so he's trying to convince Thorfinn to be the leader of the Gems Viking, because the other heir, besides Thorfinn and Thorkill, is just a little kid. And since Thorfinn has had great battle experience and is ideal for a true leader, they want him to lead the Gems Vikings. Thorfinn again refuses Thorkill's request of him being the leader of the Gems Vikings and said, "I'll be on my way." And Thorfinn just tried to sail away with his friends, but it didn't really happen how he planned, and they end up separating. But his friends get kidnapped by the current leader of the Gems Viking, which has no claim. He's just filling in because his nephew, the kid I was talking about, is the rightful heir in his mind to be the leader of the Gems Vikings. And his name is Floki, and Floki's actually the person in the beginning that paid Askeladd to assassinate Thorfinn's father. He's actually paid some people to assassinate Thorfinn because he sees Thorfinn as a threat to his nephew's title to the Gems Vikings. But the thing is, his nephew doesn't want to lead the Gems Viking just like Thorfinn. His nephew doesn't like violence just like Thorfinn. But that's besides the point. The one thing that really tested Thorfinn and what he has worked for in being a guy that chooses another way to solve conflicts other than violence is when he found out that Floki was the one who killed his father. Actually, Floki's the one who paid Askeladd to kill his father. When Thorfinn found out, he went into a rage. He tried to kill Floki, but then Hill brought him back to his senses. And I was really hoping when I was reading this that Thorfinn didn't kill Floki, because that would ruin his entire character development up until this point. But he didn't. All he did was cut off a few fingers, which you don't need a few fingers. But moving on, Thorkill decides he wants to attack Floki and the Gems Vikings because Floki took one of his kills. Like, Thorfinn's a man that just loves fighting, and he took one of the guys that he wanted to kill. took his head, and this is a guy that was really hyped up. Thorkill was really excited to fight. And then Thorkill, after he learned that this happened, was like, alright, I'm fighting the Gems Vikings then. I ain't got nobody else to fight. So this huge war wages to see who takes over. And throughout that war, there was just one person that just kept aggravating and nagging Thorfinn to fight by the name of Garm. And this is just a mini Thorkill. His whole purpose in this manga was try to push Thorfinn to break his ideology, which Thorfinn comes with a realization that my ideology that I want to follow is actually not to fight people, it's just not to kill people. So he proceeds to give him the hands, knuckles, and tells Garm that he don't need no weapon. He ain't on that rookie stuff. He plays only all Madden. Then Thorfinn easily beats him and shows Garm that a good fight doesn't have to result in a death match. And then afterwards they become friends, I guess? And throughout this entire thing, every trial that Thorfinn's been going through since he met Hill has been watching him. Whenever he slips up, she says she is going to kill him. She's been like a hawk in the sky. So after Thorfinn and everybody is done fighting and the war's over and Floki is lost and fled with his nephew, they decide to crown Thorfinn as the new leader of the Gems Viking, which he accepts, only to disband the Gems Vikings and tell everybody to seek refuge with King Canute if you need help. Which, I kind of guessed that's what Thorfinn was going to do. I knew he wasn't going to be the leader of the Gems Vikings. And by doing this, he disbands a band of people who get paid to kill others. So by doing this, he ends up saving a lot of people in the long run. So let's talk about Thorfinn and Hild. At this point of the story, Hild is going back and forth of whether she should kill Thorfinn or not. She has watched everything he does. She's seen that he has tried his best and he has succeeded in every obstacle that has came his way without using violence. And then it goes forward to 2 years. They already got the horns sold, and Hild's been with Thorfinn for 2 whole years. They get back, they have the money, they go and tell Halfdan about all the money that they've earned and tell him that they want to set out for Vinland now. So Thorfinn is looking for people that he wants to take to Vinland. Anybody that wants to come to Vinland and start over, they can. There's just only one rule. You can't bring weapons. No weapons at all. So he manages to get a decent amount of people to go with him, and they set sail for Vinland, a place that Thorfinn and Enir have dreamed of for the past 5 years, give or take. So when they get to Vinland, fast forward to about a few years, and Hild's been around Thorfinn for about 3 or 4 years, give or take. This is my favorite moment of the series, and probably the best example of Thorfinn's character development and the most rewarding thing in this entire series. Hild finally forgives Thorfinn for killing her father, and goes on to say a line that brought tears to my eyes. A little shed, not completely bawling, but she says, "You have atoned enough. My anger is quenched. You've worked hard to be released from the curse of my vengeance. You fought admirably. You are a true warrior." And that just gave me flashbacks of the beginning where Thor sets out on a journey to find out what a true warrior is, and we learn what a true warrior is through his son. That's so poetic. And Thorfinn, a character that's actually atoned in a right way. A lot of characters in anime and shows in general can say that they're trying to atone, but never really can do it in a convincing way. They didn't have their Hild where she just hovers around Thorfinn, and Thorfinn gets to prove that he deserves a second chance, that he deserves atonement, and actually has her forgive him. And that is why I think Thorfinn's character development is done masterfully. And later on, we probably gonna get more character development because he has to deal with the natives of Vinland because they are having problems believing that they're actually good people, just wanting to farm and create a life in a new land. But yeah, that was my character analysis on the development of Thorfinn. I'm in this video here. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below, and if you enjoy this video, like and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.